Hey, good evening, everybody. A little bit of a delay tonight because of what's going on outside. The aurora borealis, the northern lights visible tonight, even with the naked eye. So we've had 3 coronal mass ejections, and what that is basically a solar storm. It comes off the sun, and I just listened to a briefing from the space weather experts, and they're talking about they were expecting the G4, which is the level we're at. And again, this is a lot of territory I don't usually cover, but it goes 1 through 5 on these geostorms, and we're at 4, and we might hit 5 tomorrow. And the main reason is that 2 of these coronal mass ejections are crossing our atmosphere now, the Earth's atmosphere. But the strongest one is yet to move in. They detect these with a lot of the instruments they have in outer space to pick up this solar wind that comes in. And this one's going to be stronger coming in. They expect it to peak tomorrow afternoon, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get to a G5, which would be, you're probably going to see this all the way down to the Gulf Coast. So that's going to be pretty impressive. I did post that briefing from the Space Weather Center on my Facebook page. I think it's on the Northeast Alabama page. And a lot of interesting information. These guys are really smart at what they do. It's going to affect some of communications. They talked about how if you're using this, may actually impact space launch. So they got a launch, I think, tomorrow or something. So they may have to scrub the launch of anything going up because of the instrumentation. And of course, you may have some damage with the solar storm coming through as well. And they talked about if you have a very precise GPS, pinpoint GPS, it's going to be off just because of this solar storm going on. But again, pretty beautiful out there to see it. Let's talk more about it. Again, this is what we see here with our geomagnetic storm. It's a severe storm occurring now. It's going to be kind of fluctuating a bit. And what he mentioned in the briefing was about how a lot of the colors we see depend on the magnetic field of the Earth as opposed to the magnetic field of the solar storm coming in, and it can flip. It can go positive, it can go negative. So that really has a big implication. I think we're seeing these more and more now because we all have a phone and we can pick it up and show it. A lot of times you can't see it with the naked eye. Let's get into this forecast. Again, we expect a pretty good northern lights again tomorrow. I had this on our Gunnersville camera earlier. We could see it a little bit, almost look like a light pillar, but that's really the best visibility. This is going to come and go. There's no real way to set your watch and figure out if it's going to happen or not, but I do see a little bit of the glow there. So forecast-wise, it's a chilly night out there, but overall, it's not too bad. It was a lot worse last night. And weather is going to be improving. Our next big impact is coming next week, and we'll get to that coming up here in a second. But the snow tonight, talk about poor timing. Let me back this up. The people who have the best viewing of the northern lights in Illinois, actually not Illinois. We've seen a lot of great images from Illinois and Indiana, but you get into Pennsylvania, West Virginia, they're liking the snow probably. Well, they may not be. But they're not able to see the northern lights. So that's kind of a bummer, I guess, for them. But again, this is a special treat. We don't always see this. It's very rare, but it's happened now. And last time we had one this strong was back in May 2024. And that, I believe that was right before we had the severe weather outbreak of tornadoes. It was the day before that, either the day before or the day after it. I think it was the day before. Yeah, the lights are amazing tonight. So let's go hour by hour. Tomorrow morning it's going to be chilly. There may be some frost out there, getting closer to freezing in Fort Payne. So if you were able to cover your fall garden, able to keep it and make it survive, but if you looked out at your flowers today and they just didn't look back at you, my lantana, they're dead. They didn't look happy, but again, I didn't try to save anything. But if you saved something last night, I would cover it again tonight. It may last a few more weeks because we got warmer weather coming. As we kind of continue through tomorrow, by noon tomorrow, it's going to be warmer than it was all day today. And again, salute to our veterans out there. What a beautiful day out there at the Veterans Day Parade. A lot of people out there waving Old Glory. It was always is a great sight to see through the streets of Huntsville and just everywhere in general on social media. The thing about it is, I'm a veteran. I was over in Desert Storm for about a year back in 1990, 91. I was doing Landsat. I was actually a cook but then I did Landsat imagery maps because they sourced out all the cooks over there, so they didn't even have us cooking. So again, I was looking at and what Landsat imagery maps are. That's like Google today, but it was all printed out on these 1 to 50,000 charts and everything. So I knew where all the missions were going to be going. So it was pretty cool. I was in the 18th Airborne Corps, so that was always kind of cool to know where the missions were going to be. So again, I was in charge of that, and I came back again after a year. But the thing about Veterans Day, you know, a lot of people, these veterans, I've seen that, you know, they change their profile pictures. There's a lot of camaraderie among veterans, and this is kind of a day I reflect on all the friends I had, all the times I had, all the good times that I had being in the service. I was in the service for about 8 years. So again, just to touch on Veterans Day here. If you miss the Northern Lights, you might still be able to see them. You're going to have to get away from these city lights. Again, they come and they go, and the best view is with your phone. I think we may get a better view. Again, I think it depends on the polarity of the Earth's atmosphere. There's a lot of things, and I'm not smart enough to do space weather. I'll tell you that right now. But again, those guys know what they're. Of course, there's a lot of different algorithms going on, and they've got some new equipment from. Again, watch the briefing on my Northeast Alabama Facebook page from the expert there. He just put it out 20 minutes ago, talking about the geostorm that's going on right now and implications as well. As we continue on into the forecast for tomorrow, beautiful day, temperatures in the 60s. When we come back after this quick 1-minute commercial break, we're going to be talking about the 10-day forecast and what's coming next week. In fact, I'll talk a little bit through the break, so it may not seem as long. But again, lots of rain coming next week, potentially. And we'll discuss that coming up. Oh, just 10 more seconds. Hang on. All right, we're going to stop the break early. 1 second early. Didn't want to make you guys wait any longer. Here's your 10-day forecast, and thank you again for all the veteran wishes, and thank you again. It's my pleasure to serve this country. It doesn't seem that long ago, but man, that was over 30 years ago. When I first started weekends here, I was still in the reserve, and I was kind of at the end of my service there. I think that was 1996. But 10-day forecast, here's what you need to know. The weather's going to get active next week. We're trying to figure out if it's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, or if it's Wednesday, Thursday, and it may continue into Saturday. The model guidance continues to be very consistently. I use the European model, and if you're following anyone on social media using the GFS model, I would dump them right away. I've seen too many posts of the GFS model talking about how cold it's going to be for Thanksgiving, and there's no way to verify. There's no legitimacy to it. You need to use a model that's going to show you the ensembles of it for one, because what happens is these models, when they run several different model runs, and then they kind of average it out into one, and you get some ensembles. But if you're going to take one face value model run, you're not going to get the real picture. The thing about modeling is, forecast-wise, if the model is wrong, and to begin with, it's a logarithmic function, so it's going to be off and off and off. So it's like if you take an angle, it's like, okay, let's speak football terms. They talk about pursuit angles, right? When you're all the way as you're a kid. If you take the wrong angle to the tackle, you're never going to get there right. So let's say I'm walking towards a door. If I start walking the wrong direction and I don't adjust, I'm never going to reach the door. So what happens is if the model is off at the beginning, it's going to be off. Let's say it's off by, let's just talk miles. If it's off by a mile to begin with, by the time it goes 3 days, it's off by 10 miles. By the time it gets 100 hours out or so or more, it's off logarithmically. So it's off, it's off, it's off. It's constantly going off. So just like if you're in a plane on autopilot, if it's not on the right setting, you're not going to make your destination. So that's the problem. The GFS model has been horrible all year. So I use the European model. I use a combination of that and the AI European model. If I, like next week, I'm looking at Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm looking a lot at the AI, and what I mean by AI is artificial intelligence. You've got the Google DeepMind, which has been excellent this year with tropical meteorology. Now, I don't use that as much. I got a buddy, David Paul, down there in Dothan. He uses that a lot, and he's a little smarter than I am. I'll just admit that. But again, I use the European AI to back up the European model, and what it's showing me is 3 to 5 inches of rain at some point next Tuesday through next Saturday. And again, I'm pouring concrete on the garage driveway at some point next week, so I'm very much in tune to that forecast. So just keep checking back on that. Another cool down, it's bound to happen, probably December. If anything, it's probably going to be warmer than normal after this rain we get next week on into Thanksgiving. So I'm hoping that. I'm hoping for a dry iron bowl as well. But again, thanks you guys for tuning in. Enjoy the Northern Lights if you could see them out there. Again, best of you out in the country. It's unfortunate you got to look for your phone to see them, but there's some really neat pictures coming in from other areas farther to the north. But I appreciate your time. I'm going to do radio and then get ready for that 10 o'clock news.